Am I the only person who is worried about this issue, or is it not a problem that is worth solving? I mean, I think this is a problem. I have never seen a video, I have never heard someone discussing about this problem. I think it is a problem. If you've been a student or you are a teacher, relate to this problem. So, have your teacher ever said to you, you cannot make it? Or maybe the teacher will come in the classroom, he will try his best to teach students, and then if they don't understand that fast the way he wants them to understand, he will say, none of you can have an A, or none of you can pass my course. Many of us can relate to this. For me personally, I have experienced it so many times. When I was in high school, in lower seed to be precise, I did not attend upper seed. In lower seed, some of my teachers used to tell me, you cannot pass. Even in the lower seed, they did not even know I registered as an external candidate. I used to skip classes in order to attend classes. I was attending one off-campus classes. There were some teachers who volunteered to be teaching us. Then we pay a little fee, and then they will teach us. Those who want to write the GC in lower seed. So I was attending these classes. I was skipping classes because I did not believe in what those teachers are saying in campus, because they will come and then they will tell us, yell at us, tell us we cannot make it, we cannot pass their course. So I said, maybe these people, they are not serious. Today I am worried for students who might be experiencing this. Not everyone can handle discouragement. Not everyone. Some, if you discourage them, they will give up. So I think a teacher's job is to teach a student. Let's conclude they don't know anything. It is up to you to teach them, to make them understand that course. But if you tell them you cannot pass, you've already discouraged them in the beginning. And you hear some students saying that teacher's course is difficult, I cannot pass the course. So many will fail a course not because that course is difficult or that subject is difficult. It is a problem that is worth solving and correct it. If you are a student and you are watching this video, maybe your teacher told you you cannot maybe pass his course. Me, I said you will pass. Just try your best. Then at the end of the day, you will pass the course. If you want to have an A, you will have an A. If you want, it all depends on you. You have to you will understand it, because there is nothing you cannot understand. The people who understand that course in other schools are there from Mars or what. So if one person is unable to understand a course, it is understandable. But a whole class, for example, none of you will have A grade. How much of what you memorized in school actually stayed with you? Why are schools still obsessed with memorization as if we are still in the early 1900s? Sadly, this is a problem still affecting so many students in school. It is killing creativity, it is killing intelligence. Why should students memorize? Why can't they understand something in their own way? Why should we not encourage them to understand a course rather than memorizing it? At the end of the day, what is the essence? I am one of those persons who believe in school so much. I know without school, we will not have engineers. I have said this several times on this platform. I disagree with the school is a scam trend, and but I don't agree with memorization. I don't think students must memorize. They should answer a question in your own words. I don't think you understood it. Everyone can memorize, and everyone will forget. Once you memorize, you will forget. Memorization is a very bad system. Students should be given the opportunity to express themselves. They should tell the teacher what they understood, not repeating what the teacher said. I always say school is not all about exams or the grades. It is about learning. If you go to school, you end up memorizing things for exams. That means you are wasting a lot of time just for exams, not for learning. At the end of the day, the job market will be tough. That is why so many companies today, they prefer experience than certificates. It is not that the certificates are useless like people are saying, but it is because so many memorize. At the end of the day, they cannot even defend their certificate. They waste a lot of time memorizing, going to school for exams, not to learn. At the end of the day, if I go to school without learning, Or after school, if I cannot remember what I studied, then wasted a lot of time. What you studied should remain. You should always defend it. If at the end of the day, memorization, cramming, or the tricky exam questions was the real deal, school would have not been a necessity, because everybody can memorize, everybody can cram word to word for a particular time and then forget it later. If that was the real matter, school would have not existed. I believe school is there to teach us how to solve real world problems, not just to pass exams. Because when you look at it, exams is not even a problem at all. It is teachers can differentiate it. There are some particular type of students who try to explain things their own way. There are another category of students who speak less and then they pass their exams, maybe even more than some of these students you see. You will be doubting the failure of that student. You will ask yourself, why is this student failing? You thought this student is a very smart student, but at the end of the day, that exam, that particular exam, is not what is testing the intelligence of that student or how smart that student is. We all can picture that student. We must have had a classmate who is like that. Have you ever come across this statement that C grade students end up employing A grade students? Those so called average students in class, they end up creating the companies, they end up becoming great men and women in life. And we ask ourselves how. Some students who had bigger grades will start to question that this dull student will say things like that. There are so many questions coming to us. They did not go to school to memorize things. What they were doing in school was learning how to solve problems. And they learned how to solve problems. And real life rates people who solve real problems, not people who memorize things. At the end of the day, what you memorize is not useful to you. You even forget it. If they bring back the same exam, you might not even pass. Teachers can take credit for so many things if they start rating students for talent, rating them on understanding, not just memorization. If a student repeats the exact wordings you gave in your notes, that you should question the students. Students start to memorize questions because teachers are fond of bringing tricky questions, all of that. I'm not refusing. You can bring questions to test their intelligence. The tricky questions is not what matters. Maybe we should start bringing real life problems in exams. We see how students can approach it. And they will end up people who are solving these problems in our society. We can change this. We should start rating understanding, not memory. If the objective of a class is to travel from point A to Z and their teacher only taught them how to travel by car, maybe one student decided to use another means of transport, but remember the objective, leaving point A to Z. Maybe that student used other means like train, maybe plane, or maybe he even walked from point A to Z. Anyways, he successfully made it to Z. Objective accomplished. Should he be failed for using another means? But if the teacher failed you for that, real world won't. Society looks at the end of the journey, not the beginning, not in between, but the end of the journey. Maybe you are a believer, Christian, Muslim, or any other religion. You always pray for good ending. That is, even your life will end, you will want it to end in a good way. Maybe you are doing something good. That is how the real world works. But I am not saying students should start learning another thing from their teachers. Yes, they should learn what their teacher is teaching them. Their teacher should also allow them to understand things their own way. They should try to explain things their own way, how they understood it. They should write their exams with their own understanding of that topic. What I am saying is schools exist to teach us how to solve problems in our society. So far as the ways you use to solve that problem does not cause another irreparable problem, then good. Innovation should be welcomed from inside the classroom. Students should be held for understanding things their own way. That is very good, because tomorrow will be them. You that is not allowing them understand things their own way won't be there maybe. For example, when I was a student, I used to firmly believe in some things. I used to believe 100% I understand that. When my classmates talks about other things or maybe the way they understand it, I don't care. I think I am right 100%. But at the end of the day, someone will just consider it wrong. Many of you can relate. Sometimes you even feel frustrated. You start doubting everything. But the truth is, you were not wrong. You were simply not understood. Use your sense in the real world. You will solve real problems. And this attitude is inherited. Can you believe it? Yes, because if a teacher grew up in a society like that before becoming a teacher, he or she will definitely inherit it and generations will follow. We inherited it too. Today, life is asking another thing. You go to a job interview, you are asked to keep your certificate aside. What real skills can you bring to their company? Memory is off, certificates are just papers, maybe even lying about who you really are. I am not saying certificates are useless, they are very, very useful. We can just fix this. Anyways, let's uplift the values of education. Our knowledge is our goal, we must protect it. You ever wonder why the smartest students in class sometimes struggle the most in life, while the kids who barely pass end up running the company? Maybe the problem isn't the student. Maybe, just maybe, the problem is how we teach these children. If you think education is just about exams or grades, you are not preparing those students for life. Because life doesn't give you multiple choice, it gives you problems and expect solutions. Let me say this, I know teaching is hard. I also know teachers are trying their best with the few tools they are given in a system they didn't create. This isn't about blame, it is about awareness. Because once we see flaws, we have the power to fix it. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. But that only works when education is built on understanding, not just performance. When it encourages questions, not just answers. When it develops thinkers, not just test takers. And to every student listening, if you've ever felt like less than because you did not get the top grade, hear me out. You are not your exam results, you are not your GPA. You are capable of more than you are told. Albert Einstein once said, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it is stupid. Maybe you are that fish swimming in a system that expects you to climb. But I want you to remember this, your value is not measured by how well you fit the system. Sometimes your greatness lies in your refusal to the teachers. Your impact goes far beyond the classroom walls. Because every lesson you teach is either building confidence or breaking it. Every time you allow a student to think differently, you are giving them that permission to be fully themselves in a world that often pressures them to conform. So here is the challenge. Teach like every student's life depends on it because it does. And to the students, learn like your voice matter because it does, not just in the exam hall, but in both rooms with board members, in communities, and in the world at large. Let's shift from memorization to meaning. Let's shift from grades to growth. Let's shift from survival to learning. And finally, remember this, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. So make it count. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep questioning. This is Hayato, and you are listening to the Echoes of Change podcast.